G'day guys, welcome back to this week's fishing report. Let's get straight into what has been biting around Sydney this week. There's been some really nice catches, particularly in the river, because over the last week and weekend we haven't had great weather to be able to go out offshore and try and target our typical offshore winter and early spring species. So in the river there's been some really nice salmon being caught. Again, they've been feeding on the surface in the late afternoon and early morning. Outside of those hours, they've been going into the deeper parts of the river systems, making sure you sound up, finding the bait. They will not be too far behind. Dropping plastics down into those bait schools has been producing some really nice salmon. Along with that, in the early morning and late afternoon, there's been some absolutely insane surface action on the salmon with some really nice fish being caught on surface lures. Again, there's been some really nice flathead being caught around our shallower areas of our river system. So in Georges River, there's been people fishing in less than 3 metres of water, catching some really nice flathead in excess of 70 centimetres. Same with the Port Hacking, just a little bit deeper because the water has been quite clear recently, and the fish will hang in that little bit deeper of a spot in the Port Hacking, so around 4 to 7 metres. There's been some really nice flathead being caught. I think this is quite early for the flathead to be coming on the bite so consistently. This is mainly because the water temperature has risen up quite significantly a degree or two, which is quite significant in water temperature. Obviously, our air temperature over the last week has been quite hot as well. We've got days in excess of 20 degrees, even up to 25 degrees throughout the day. So that is heating our water systems up and getting a lot of those fish that aren't as active during the winter to start being active and start feeding. So hence why we're seeing some really consistent captures of flathead. On that topic, I want to be talking about fishing in spring now. As we head out of winter and into early spring, we should see our waters start to slowly warm up. Now again, this time of year, they're normally hanging around that 15, 16 degree mark, but at the moment, they're more towards that 17, 18 degree mark because of our warmer air temperatures. This is a really good sign. This is a good sign that the summer warmer waters might come earlier, meaning a lot of our pelagic fish that will come into the river systems, for example, our kingfish, might be here even earlier this season. We should start seeing some really nice catches of kingfish over the next couple of weeks, mainly out offshore, and then over the next month or two they'll slowly start heading into the river system, so start getting prepared for our kingfish season. Another really good fish, like I said in the fishing report, is our flathead. Our flathead will just keep moving shallower and shallower as the water will warm up, because the bait fish will push themselves up there along the shallow flats as well, and the flathead will be following them along. Obviously, using your tides are going to be the key for that. The last one, and the one that I'm very excited for this summer, is our whiting. Our whiting should start to be very active along our very shallow gin clear flats here of Sydney. They should start being very active, and we should start to see some nice catches of some whiting, particularly maybe on bait or towards the edges, so the drop-offs along a big sand flat, they'll probably be hanging around there right about now, and then eventually as the water keeps warming up, they'll get up into less than a metre of water, and we should start seeing some really nice catches on surface lures. That's what's getting me really excited, because I am so excited to go out again this year or this summer and catch some really nice whiting on surface lures. I'm even going to try and catch them on a fly rod. Okay, so looking forward to the weekend. Across the whole weekend, we got a really nice northwesterly breeze, averaging between 5 to 20 kilometres an hour throughout both Saturday and Sunday. Looking specifically about our tides, we've got a tide change around sunrise, about 5:30, 6 o'clock for both days, a high tide at around midday to 1 o'clock for both days, and then obviously a tide change around sunset again around that 5:30, 6 o'clock. So some really nice tides to be able to marry up to our sunrise and sunset. Next one, looking at with our moon phases, we're heading off the back end of the full moon. We've got some nice moon rises at about 9:30 to 10 o'clock each morning on Saturday and Sunday. Again, please make sure you're checking your weather apps before you head out to make sure that the conditions are still as predicted, and make sure you take all of your appropriate safety gear and all that sort of stuff as well before you head out. So looking forward to the plan on the weekend. The plan for me will be looking to fish in the mornings. particularly out offshore. The swell again is down nice and low, less than a metre for both days for me. That is the go. That is the green light for me to be able to go out and have a fish offshore. Again, it's been a couple of weeks since I've been able to go out fishing out offshore, targeting shallow reefs for our snapper. So that's the plan early on in the morning. Again, I'm going to be looking at the temperature, the water temperature, particularly to see if there's a big jump. If we're heading towards that 17.5, 18 degree mark, we should see some nice snapper being caught over the next couple of weeks. That is such a good temperature to be able to target our snapper. So for me, I'm going to be fishing Saturday and Sunday morning, heading out offshore, starting in really, really shallow with soft plastics and working deeper as the day goes on. The reason why I'm going to be targeting the morning rather than the afternoon, personally, there is a moonrise, a tide change, and a sunrise all within a couple hours of each other, whereas the sunset only has the tide change and the sunset. Okay, so the afternoons have a 2 out of 3 and the mornings have a 3 out of 3. Now, not to say that the afternoons would not produce some really, really nice fish. They might be better than the mornings, but if I'm going to be planning on when I'm going to be fishing, I'm just going to lean more towards that morning session, because if I don't get a good bite around the tide change, or I don't get a good bite around the sunrise, I still have that backup plan of that moonrise at about 9 o'clock on both mornings. So that just gives me that little bit extra edge to hopefully secure a couple more really, really nice fish around that bite window again, like I've been talking about over the last couple of episodes. Again, just before we leave, I want to talk about a few things. 7 Seas Apparel, don't forget to use code REALFISHING10 to save yourself 10% off anything 7 Seas Apparel. They've got some really, really nice t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, fishing jerseys, shorts. They've got pretty much everything for anyone across the apparel range. With Father's Day coming up, it would be a great time of the year to be able to go on to 7 Seas Apparel, use code REALFISHING10 and save yourself 10% off and buy something for the dads for Father's Day coming up. The second thing I want to talk about is Reelcast. Reelcast has been just released its 3rd full episode with Paul Worsling, iFish absolute superstar TV presenter. He was very generous with his time and spoke about everything in his fishing career, whether it was his first memory to a very good behind the scenes look into creating fishing television. It was a great chat with Paul Worsling. Again, the audio versions are at Reelcast on all podcast platforms, and on my YouTube channel right now is the video version of the podcast. Please make sure you go follow, subscribe, all that sort of good stuff to Reelcast on any podcast platform, or if you're watching here on the video podcast. Right down below, let me know who you would like to see next. I'm currently creating a list of guests that I would like to have on the podcast. So that's my plan for this weekend. Hope you all go out. Hope you all catch some really, really nice fish. And let me know in the comments below how you guys go. And like and subscribe for next week's fishing report. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.